have Steve Kerr on the floor for the first time. Michael fades and fires up the footy and scores. How do you stop that shot?
The Jordan Effect. Part 2. Steph Curry. Ever since the Warriors won their first championship in the mid-2010s, I, like even most remote basketball watchers, have noticed that the game has changed from what it was just 15 years ago in terms of style of play. Every game today consists of pull-up three-pointers on a 3-1 fast break, and sometimes even by the so-called center, but overall, by everybody. Watching three-point attempt records being broken, it seems, every year has become a bit of an eyesore for most diehard fans. And when I see Ben Simmons pass up a wide-open layup for a three, well, bad example. But when players pass up on wide-open drives to the rim, it seems that we may never see the plays with the players attacking the rim like Vince Carter or Shawn Kemp. Dunks got people out of their seats and galvanized teams as well. Just go back and watch that Kevin Johnson dunk over Akeem in the Western Conference playoffs. Today's play just reminds me of that 90s predictable Euroball playmaking, aka boring. The excitement only really comes if a team or player is hot from beyond the arc. The Curry effect took place because of his consistency and excellence. Jordan's consisted of the perfect mid-range jumper and overall ISO scoring dominance of a winning guard. Kobe tried to replace it, maybe not as efficient. Side note, I can make an argument that the 2000s defense was tougher to play against than the 90s. Now Allen Iverson, everyone tried to duplicate his style, the crossover and the quickness, but he was born with it. He was a natural athlete, a two-sport athlete at that, and a 6-foot freak of nature. Yet, everyone tried to copycat it. ISO ball went up. Defense can hone in on that one player with less ball movement and less scoring overall after Jordan retired. Hence, that was the Jordan effect. LeBron didn't have that effect because most people aren't a 6'9", 250-pound runaway train that can just muscle people out of their way. So he isn't as relatable to the average person watching or playing the game. Curry, however, at 6'3", smaller frame, he modernized the extended three-point shot and also helped increase the frequency and change the shot attempt types that people take. Coaching plays a part in this as well. If players from the 80s and 90s took Curry's shots today in succession, he'd be benched immediately unless he made all of them in a heat check situation. Back then, if you missed 2 or 3 in a row, it was commonly known to pass the ball because you were cold. Not to say that that concept isn't in rule or doesn't apply today, just not nearly as much really for anyone at any position. Remember when Kerr threw up his hands at Curry's shot attempt? And when he made the shot, Kerr gave that, "it's a bad shot if he misses it" kind of look.
See me on the sidelines, I'm holding my arms up. I'm thinking Phil Jackson, Greg Pop, their voices are in my head. Lute Olson, this is a terrible shot. What I eventually figured out is that it's a great shot because it's Steph Curry. The numbers don't lie. That's a shot he makes over 40% of the time. So I finally realized Steph gets to shoot whenever he wants.
How many times have we seen Curry take a three and mentally you say, "that's a bad shot," but he makes it? Plenty of times. He could do the same thing in the 90s potentially, the same way that he did it in the 2010s. He built up the confidence and trust in his teammates and the staff by practicing those shots and shooting and making them in games. That is why he could, with the right coach, do the same thing in another era. Because if you realize in practice that you have a thoroughbred, you pull out all the stops and let that baby ride. Mark Jackson, I believe, did that initially by saying what he said about Curry and Klay.
How you feel? I didn't say that. I said they are the greatest shooting backcourt that's ever played this game. I don't think it's a debate. They are two incredible shooters.
At the end of the day, it's basketball. You win by scoring more points than your opponent, so the fundamental thing to do is to shoot, aka put the ball in the hole. So why not get good at it? And if you can get good at it while taking less damage and less risk of injury, other than Jalen Rose and Zaza, and get an extra point doing it, why not? Combine analytics into the question, and I can understand why whole organizations tell their players to drive and kick it to the corner or wing for a three versus a dunk or layup attempt. Get the extra point. It's faster pace, etc., etc. I know, I get it. However, I'm not blaming the Curry effect for the monotony within the game. I blame that on an analytics-based system for attention, ratings, excitement, and a few other factors, rule changes in defense. There are plenty of players taking shots that 10 years ago their coach would not allow them to take. Everyone sees the success of Curry and Thompson to a degree, and emerging are a few other players that are the Kobe Bryants to Curry's Michael Jordan. Just as Iverson had everyone thinking that they could do his crossover, me included, Curry is now in that position, giving everyone something to shoot for. Pun intended.
And now with the following collection of
Swissy, man!
Am I wrong? Cause I wanna get it on till I die. Am I wrong? Cause I wanna get it on till I die. Get it on till I die. Get it on till I die. Y'all remember me? Y'all remember me? It's that Tupac, 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 it's that Tupac.
Hawks home!
Am I wrong? Cause I wanna get it on till I die. Am I wrong? Cause I wanna get it on till I die. Get it on till I die. Get it on till I die. Y'all remember me? After the fire comes the rain. After the pleasure, there's pain. Even though we broke for the moment, we'll be balling.